Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to episode 3 of Be the Change. And today we get to talk about a fun topic that everyone loves to talk about.
Yes.
We're going to talk about forgiveness.
Yes.
Is there anything? So I actually did not choose this topic, but I'm going to let you talk about how we came across this topic.
Well, I felt like, what did I have that I could bring that maybe everybody could benefit from, like just generally. And so I think forgiveness is where I'm at. I think that it's so hard to do. There's a lot of things that we try to get past or whatever, and when it comes down to it, forgiveness is so hard. Not only for, offering to others, but yourself,
which is some of what we're going to talk about today. And I'm not going to lie, when she originally texted me this topic last week, I felt my chest get tight, and I was like, ooh, I don't know about that, but I'm really,
I was super excited. I was like, I can do it, and
I don't want to put out any fire, so we're going to do it. I did a lot of praying about it, and then everybody just needs to know this is something I'm struggling with at the moment.
It's always a work in progress.
Yes.
You gotta remind yourself.
I will not be the first one talking today because as I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, I'm feeling all the butterflies. So I'm going to let you get started since, this is your...
No butterflies. No butterflies.
You're so excited, so I'm going to let you take the reins, and then I'm just going to piggyback off what you have to say.
That's wonderful. I don't know if you will or not, but we're going to try it anyway. Well, for me, bitterness is what I guess would be my rock bottom, if you will. Like I don't know. I consider myself, a people person. I like to be around people, like, laughing and carrying on and having a good time, whatever. But, through life's disappointments and people being humans and disappointing you, as we always will, I had been experiencing a feeling that I didn't really know anything about, which was bitterness. And for me, I came to the realization that it's not necessarily, you're going to feel a certain way if you don't forgive somebody. It's more, you're going to develop a different feeling. And that's bitterness. And that will kill you. And that was going to kill me. Like, it was going to kill me. So when I started my walk with Jesus, I always knew him. I always, I'd seen the miracles that he had done already in my life. I guess it was more when I decided to let Jesus into my life, and tell him exactly what I felt and exactly how I felt and why I felt that way. He was the only one that didn't judge me. He was the only one that I felt comfortable talking to, because he wasn't going to go tell everybody, and I found that part to be very comforting. But the more I thought about it, and I correlate it very, very much to a recovery program. You hear about Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or whatever Anonymous. What about, the Recovery from Life group? That's where I want to be. So that's kind of what I feel like it was. It like a recovery program for bitterness. I found a lot of what was said in the Bible correlates to a lot of what they teach you in those recovery programs. They are very similar. So the verse that I want to talk about, or where I'm Gonna, well, hold on a minute. I'm sorry. There we go. It's Ephesians 4:31. And it says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. And then verse 32 goes on to say, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ, God forgave you. While I was reading the word and trying to figure out how to forgive, because like, how do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, God calls us to unite with one another, and we're supposed to love each other. And the only way to do that is to forgive. Like, you got to remember, this person's going through something. They're not treating me that way because of me. Mm-hmm. They're doing it because of them. Or, she didn't smile at me, or, they did this to me and I want to know why. None of that matters. Like, we're supposed to get past that. Empathy is where that comes in. Mm-hmm. The love, the compassion, that's what that is. And I think that people are, I don't know if we forgot how to be that way, if we don't know how to be that way. Like, I grew up that way. Like, mm-hmm. I always heard, you do unto others as you want them to do to you. Like, I don't want you to lie to me, so I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want you to be mean to me, so I'm not going to be mean to you. You know what I mean? Like, where did that go?
Yeah.
So that's why I found it important to talk about, because I think that the world is so broken and it's so beat down with all the disappointments that we face as humans. And if you're not walking with Jesus, how are you doing it?
Yeah, because if you can walk with Jesus and have him forgive you for everything you did, then why can't you forgive other people the way he's forgiven you?
Right.
Yeah. So if you're really walking with Christ and you're trying to be Christ-like with your actions, then forgiveness, it's not easy, but it's also, you should keep in mind, like, I know my story, and if God has forgiven me for what I've done, then why can't I forgive? Because that would be just your human pride getting in the way.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, while I was on my road of, recovery from the world, humbling myself was a major thing from the pride. And here I had no idea how prideful I actually was. I didn't know. I didn't feel that way. Not on, but
like
subconsciously.
What you think of pride. Like, when you think of other people being prideful, you're like, that's not how I'm acting.
Right.
But then it's like, it's
somewhere.
Really is.
It's somewhere, yeah. And that's what I learned. And that's what I'm hoping maybe to bring, is to maybe how to, what does that look like? What did you do? I don't know. But it's been several years, it was a long time coming, and it's been a process, and it's still a process.
And I feel like, if we continue on this and talk about, and you're talking about bitterness and you talk about what you did, well, it's not necessarily a one size fits all for every situation. However, the Bible does talk about wisdom and having wisdom. And if you've been through something and you have a testimony and a story for a reason, God has allowed you to go through that to share with other people.
Yeah. And I believe that.
Yeah, for whoever is experiencing bitterness or whatever it is, then it gives them a connection of, well, that's exactly what you experienced. Yes. So let me share with you what helped me.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that's why God allows us to go through certain situations.
100%.
And so, I definitely feel like that's something we need to, like, on your end with the bitterness, that it is something you should talk about, like what worked for you and what steps you took to overcome that.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah. I think it will fix a lot of problems, because when, and I've had to forgive people, that, I don't talk to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I forgive them doesn't mean that you still have access to me. It just means I don't suffer anymore because I'm holding on to something that doesn't serve me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to forgive somebody who isn't in your face anymore. But when you have to forgive somebody who is in your life,
mm-hmm.
that's even harder. But that too is doable. It's hard, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's ways for that and ways to think about that and to do it. And we'll talk further later about that because,
I do think forgiveness, like when you text me and I was immediately like, oh gosh, forgiveness.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's an important conversation. I feel like we hear about it in church. I feel like it's a very churchy topic of, forgive others because Christ forgave us, which is true. That is a true statement.
But it's not just lip service.
But it's not. And it's like, like you said, how?
Right.
How, as a human being with human emotions, and we all, think certain things, and we all make mistakes, and we all get angry at people. So how do you actually forgive?
I'm glad you asked. Because I have a way.
Yeah.
I have a way. Not for today, but I do have the way.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to start talking about that because, and I got you feeling better too.
No, you didn't.
Really?
And I really hope, which I don't want to burst the bubble for any future episodes.
Because I feel like I have nothing to offer. So if you got something from it,
you do, and I really do.
It warms my heart. Okay, thank you.
No, I really do. And I'm not going to say anything because I'm really hoping on another episode you touch on it. If not, I'm definitely going to ask you the question. But there was something you said to me the first time where you had me think about the future and writing. You know what I'm talking about. But it was like something like that, and just hearing somebody else's mindset on how to think about a situation was really impactful to me. And so I know you have a lot to share, and so I'm really looking forward to breaking that down, and I'm really hoping it touches other people as well. Because I like being a part of it. And I may not have as much to share on.
You do.
No, but I'm really looking forward to these next few episodes with diving deeper into forgiveness because I'm looking forward to learning as well.
Well, I need you to say, what's wrong with? There's nothing wrong with you, and why don't they believe? But who does God say you are? I think it's just there's a big misconception. If I forgive that person, it means what they did is okay. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all does that mean that. It just means that you're not going to be tied down by that burden anymore.
Absolutely. You don't have to accept what they did or agree. Like what you said, you don't have to think it's okay behavior. Like, I forgive you. Like, oh, okay, so we're just going to no.
Right.
The behavior is still probably not ideal.
Right.
But like you said, you don't have to sit there and worry about it. It's not yours to worry about. So this is great. This is a topic we could talk about forever. Yeah, because there's always stuff happening in life where you're going to have to think about things like this.
Yeah.
So this is great. Love it.
You got to add. I think what I don't know what I did. You got to add a little bit of psychology in there. People love how they were taught to love, People behave the way they were taught to behave, Okay, so I have a little story maybe. I was talking with a friend of mine not too long ago, and she's got a teenage daughter. She's got more kids, but this one daughter. She had a boyfriend, met him in church,
The teenager did?
The teenager. Okay. So the daughter, the teenager, and the boyfriend, like I said, met at church. The parents go to church, all the things. So I don't know how long the relationship lasted, but it progressed, and they dated for quite a while, I think. One day, the daughter comes to her mom, and says, Mom, has Daddy ever hit you? Have you ever seen Daddy hit me? I mean, no, but, I just was curious. Okay, but why? Why are you curious about that? Well, because the boyfriend hit me. That's what I said. Oh. And he played it off as if it was a normal thing. And so I just wondered if Daddy had ever hit you. Is Daddy still in the house? Yeah. Daddy didn't hit me, you know what I mean? But no, but that really pulled at my strings, because we met at church. You were talking about the equally yoked. This child was listening to the sermons, I imagine. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. But when we go home, is this what we're seeing? Like, this child, maybe he did grow up at church, but this is what he was shown. So people do as they see done, I think. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's why I said earlier, like, I try and be judge-free when it comes to anybody doing anything, because I want to know the why.
Yeah.
Like, and I say this all the time, I believe anybody in the world can get along. If two people don't get along, it's because they don't understand their why or where they're coming from.
That's right.
And so, and I think it was like last week you and I were just talking, that I was like, okay, Disney movie or any kind of movie, you have a good guy and a villain.
Yeah.
But the villain is just as passionate as the good guy.
Right.
What they believe they're doing, they believe is right. They don't know any better. They're passionate about what they're doing.
Right.
And so I'm like, that's literally life. Anything that anybody's doing in life, is they have a reason and a purpose behind it. And just because you don't agree or you don't see, doesn't mean that they're not thinking a certain way. So I feel like, it's important that we learn things about other people to understand that why. I could go in a circle.
Yeah. but it's true. Yes. And when you're united, well, and first, to get to the united part, we have to forgive and love, and then we can come together, but only then. Like, you can't do it first. You have to, you got to forgive all the things, all you, the people, me, everybody. And it's an ongoing thing, but I do think that once you figure out, I was explaining it to my daughter, I feel like I float now. I weigh a little bit less than what I used to, but I'm not floating.
Yeah.
But I feel like I am floating. It's really weird. But that's what it does. Like, that's how heavy
it can be on you.
That is on you.
Absolutely.
And we need to let it go.
I agree.
So
awesome. Well, I love that.
Woo.
So I guess we'll wrap it up, and then next week we'll talk more in depth about forgiveness, wherever that leads us.
I don't know yet.
The road to recovery.
We're gonna do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for
you
watching and listening and listening to crazy stories as always.
We got more of those.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all listening this far, and we look forward to seeing y'all next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.